You said he's like completely fucked up. Are now about to witness the awesome, crushing might of KNUCKLE! Savvy, baby. You savvy me, I savvy you. Welcome to round number 289. I'm your host, Eugene S. Robinson, with the S standing for savvy. I'll explain later. As in, savvy. Espanol, baby. Espanol. Round number 289. As I said, the show is chock full. I can barely wait for the intro words to get to it. We're talking about Conor McGee, Mystic Max Venus, his ding-a-ling. But first, the words that say it all. Stigmata, calling it a just. Song called Intro, All of Nothing, Bob Riley, singing it best. I'm on my way back nowhere. I took my time and I could not see so clear, but I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. Or being paid back in full, always nothing. All right. So here we are, round number 289. I don't know if you read the child's annotated version of Moby Dick, but when Queequeg comes in, first thing he says to Ishmael is, "You sabi me, me sabi you." Of course, it's Pidgin English. It comes from, sabe, right? Spanish for I know. I know you, you know me. And before he pulls out his heathen idols and does some half-naked dance on the floor of Ishmael's the room where they're bunking on the ship. It's a book about Moby Dick. You tell me. Anyway, this is round number 289 as we pull inexorably closer to round number 251. Don't know if you put my name in yet for MMA commentator or journalist of the year. All I'm looking for is a nomination, and I'm not asking for a handout. I'm asking for a hand and a handout. So right off the bat, UFC 250, got the tote sheet. Kid Nate pulled the Donald Trump on me, right? By which he if you look at it, hey, Stephen Blick, believe it, baby. I don't know if people ever want me to use their real name on it, but if you tweet me stuff now, of course, where my system is set up, I see it live. You see, Kid Nate actually okey-doked me by picking one of the more insignificant fights on the prelim card, and it's in suchly fashion managed to pull ahead by one after his execrable picks of the other week, wherein he only got one right. He only got one wrong, which puts him at he only got one wrong. No, other way. He got one right. Hold on. He got one more right than I got, actually putting him technically ahead of me. Finally, for once and forever, his praises are to be sung. So, General, when we do these shows, post a fight like this, you know what happens, right? What happens is you step away from the fight for half a second, right? This is the way we do it. You step away from the fight for half a second, and you ascertain what it is you feel like, right? It's like, man, that I got the heroin. I took the heroin. I got high from the heroin. And then the next morning when I wake up, I will adjudge as to whether it was good heroin or not. In this instance, I don't know how the rest of yous feel, but I woke up this morning actually feeling good despite being bested by Kid Nate, who his opening strategy was to match me as closely as possible so there wasn't so much daylight between us in terms of our picks. Match me as closely as possible with a minor variation on a fight that he knew it was low on the card that I wasn't really paying attention, but it doesn't make a difference. So so let's get to it. Let's get to it right away. And because, you know, we're going to go back like the shows, like last week's show was 290 and this is 289. We're going backwards in time. Have somebody explain it to you. We're going to do the fights in the same way, and we're just going to start the top of the card. And the top of the card is McGregor. I picked McGregor to win, as did Kid Nate, but I was very vocal about my desire to see Alvarez win. But I knew that this was extremely. Oh, Coach Judas! Look at Coach Judas is sending me a text when he's not stabbing me in the back. He's sending me a text that says, "Weirdo." How do you like that for team building? Interrupting my show to let me know. Here, I should text back to him. I would text back to him, cocksucker, but there's nothing wrong with cocksuckers, so it's not a pejorative anymore. But anyway, so I wanted Alvarez to win, but I always knew that he plays it too close to the vest, way too close to the vest in terms. And I'm using that wrong. Somebody, Kid Nate, called me on it the other day. He said, "What you mean is." What I mean is he lives like if you train. In general, when you train, you're probably in the 50% range. You're thinking about getting the move right, maybe the move of the day. In other words, that move that you were taught that day, trying to get the hand position, so your effort level, you're thinking about other things, and you're maybe talking to the guy that you're going with because you're teammates, you're thinking about other stuff. So it's a maybe 50%, right? While at the same time, you're not putting out 100% of effort. You're not exposing yourself to the kind of stuff that you expose yourself to when you go 100%, which is caution to the wind on the edge. He's an edge dweller, you know. Exactly. That's right. And people are texting me too. Madonna wants to suck Connor cock. Nothing wrong there. Well, I'm going to get into that. Anyway, so the guy who likes to live on the edge, things can happen. It was not inconsistent at all to see him knocked down 5 times in a round. He was, like I said, he was losing to RDA before he beat RDA. But that kind of top of the food chain flexibility, I knew was not going to exist with Mystic Mac. And literally, this is his 4th fight, and what they say, in 11 months, which is incredibly hard to believe, but I'm guessing they're right. I guess if I counted, I would come up with that number. But, you know, the train, everything. I remember talking Christopher Browning, who's a professor at Christopher Browning. Somebody look it up. He's a professor maybe at Princeton. Anyway, he wrote an answer book to Daniel Goldhagen's book, Hitler's Willing Executioners, about the culpability of the ordinary German citizen in Nazi Germany. And he said very easily, he wrote an answer book to it, which I can't remember now, but his name was Christopher Browning. And he said at a speech that I went to, maybe he teaches at Brown. I don't remember. It seems too much that his name is Browning. But he said that Hitler is a deeply disturbed anti-Semite, but he was still functioning in a causal universe. His first violation of the Treaty of Versailles, if it had been met with anger and aggression on the part of the Allies, or you know, what would become the Allied forces, he would have backed down. All of his steps were causally connected to other steps to subsequent steps. So there was a causal universe. Well, I'm going to do this. If I do this, they can do this, or they can do this. I'm going to violate I'm going to rearm. I'm going to move back into the Rhineland. I'm going to do some kind of, you know, aggression. And we'll see how the aggression is met. And Chamberlain is like, look, this is, do we really want to go to war over this? He kind of waited, nothing. Pushed it. Oh, we're going to do it. Waited, nothing. Pushed it. Waited, nothing, pushed it. Because clearly Providence was smiling on him, and that's all the proof that he needed. It is the same with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is not, he has said to you time and time again, like that ex I had who told me, people will tell you all you need to know about them if you listen long enough and carefully enough. He said way back, much like Hitler, I mean, I know for many people this would be a pejorative kind of connotation, but I'm just looking at political developments in the same way that maybe you would look at Machiavelli. He said, like Hitler had said, had laid out in Mein Kampf what I'm going to do. People go, he's not really going to do it. Yeah, okay, all right. This is what I'm going to do. It's not emotional. It's not emotional. I'm looking at numbers on a piece of paper. This is not emotion. This has got nothing to do with emotion. If you make $100 million, I need you, I may not be the best at math, but I need you to explain to me why you think I should get $25,000 if you just made 100 mil. It's simple. I mean, actuarial, accounting, we have certain laws that govern. Money is an abstraction. It's an abstraction. People get all bent out of shape. Buy taxes. You don't pay taxes. I do pay taxes. You pay. It's fictional fantasy money. Your company says, we are taking magical money out of your paycheck to pay taxes for roads to the government or whatever. You're like, oh, but you know, they were never going to pay you that money anyway. And the company, is the one who diverts it. Your paycheck doesn't come. If you withhold in the wrong way, yeah, you got to kick money back. But generally, it's a cult. You don't see it. You can't be any more abstract than that. My penis is less abstract because some of you have seen my penis if you've been to an Oxbow show. It is concrete if that's the case. Your taxes are abstract. And what he's saying is, though money is an abstraction, it exists in a universe that is governed by certain laws. And the law of fair play dictates if you are making $100 million before I show up, and after I show up, you have something that's worth $4.2 billion, you got to share. It's not emotion. I'm not whining. I'm not an idiot. I can look at the paper. And I said this years ago about my own personal situation. Only suckers are working for salary. Only. Yeah, I need salary to keep the lights on, so I can get water and electricity in here. But the reality of it is, you know, if you are adding value to your company, whether it's, you know, crackhoreconfessions.com, now you know you're gonna look that up. You're gonna a wacko crackos. It is not a good site. It's Sunday. Maybe you might want to do it before you get to work, but it's not a good site. So, oh yeah, sorry. I went down to wacko crackos. So if you work at crackhoreconfessions.com and somehow, due to your efforts and administrations at finding prostitutes who like to consume large amounts of crack and then be filmed having sex afterward, you should stand. It's an award-winning site. You should stand to benefit. Whether it's there or Facebook, you deserve to benefit. The only catch is that, and Connor should be mindful of this, the only catch is that, say at Aussie, I get stock options at Aussie, all right? My stock options at Aussie are fictitious. I mean, they're magical, as abstract as my taxes. I have them. I have the grants. I have a piece of paper that says this is how much I own. But until there are even private markets where I can judge how much that stock is worth. But until a company sells, it's just fantasy money. However, the UFC has sold. So if you worked at the UFC before and you had some version of stock option, you would now, after 6 months lockout, you would now have the rights to say, hey, I want to cash in some of my stock. You say, yeah, well, you know, we didn't give any stock options to our employees because, well, you know, Oh, really? My brain cells are my stock options. My stock options are my ability to get out of bed not aching. You know, my body and my soul. Those are my stock options. So when he stands up and says, conditionally, mind you, because this is not a speech you would have heard if somehow magically Alvarez would have won this fight. He wins the fight, McG, and he says, you know what? One, I don't know who runs this company. You know, as a company officer, I haven't heard, but the company is sold. Look, I can't go to an office to see Lorenzo and Frank. They're at the $38 million mansion that there's in Malibu. I don't know what they're doing. Counting the money. The bald one is like, I don't know. I got to get set. Nobody's approached me. Who's working my account? Who should my manager see? You know? The dummies around here can keep dealing with the bald one, but to quote Marlon Brando, the bald one in this instance is a grocery clerk. He's a grocery clerk. This is my Marlon Brando. Remember that night you came down to my locker room? The night of the Canino fight? You told me, kid, it wasn't your night. Not my night. I was your brother, Charlie. You should have looked out for me just a little bit. Okay, anyway. So McGregor correctly says, look, I haven't heard from anybody. I don't know what the fuck you think is going on. I know, you know, I got a few months here before. I have 4 fights, 11 months. I'm going to take some time off. My girl is going to have a kid, though somebody did raise the specter. He's having 2 kids, and they're not twins. Oh, how do you like that? Who did that song? Was it the Doobie Brothers? Put it on the streets? Oh, Front Street. How you going to do that to somebody? Scenario. You're in a restaurant like I was, noon, lunch, early, and I see one of the fathers at my kid's school up there with a woman, not his wife. I'm not friendly with him, but I'm not unfriendly with him. Say anything? Well, I cut their chase. I did not. So I don't know. Whoever, I think it was Woodley who called him out. Yeah, you know, that's the point at which, like that time I tapped that guy in a competition with a smother, and I stood up from the mat all excited and expected the gallery to cheer me, and everybody turned their backs on me. Like physically, I don't know if you had that sensation. Everybody who was ringing the mat, they all like, I got up, I was like, yeah, they all like, rip, and they turned their backs on me. It was like, oh shit, hey, fuck that guy. He's lucky I didn't put my nuts in his mouth. How about that for submission? Sorry. Nothing wrong with nuts in the mouth. So McGregor correctly says, look, you know, I haven't talked to anybody, and realistically, I'm disappointed in you. I would have expected somebody to approach me with an offer of equity. It's reasonable. It's not emotional. So if Ari, whoever the guys at WME, they realize at this point now that this is a guy that this guy, he's the golden boy. And I said it before, and you haven't heard. All the people, don't get caught up. People said, oh, I remember once Henry said about the Grateful Dead, love the band, hate the fans. Don't get caught up by all the Irish walking around Madison Square Garden, you know, with the glasses and the beard and these clones, whatever. Do not get caught up in this. Because Manchurian Candidate is Donald Cerrone. Oh, Donald Cerrone is leading some kind of fighters union. And then his fight gets yanked because Fatty couldn't make weight. Fatty is just dealing with not being 19 anymore. I remember when I was 29 and suddenly couldn't lose. I could use at 19. I could lose 10 pounds like that. 20, whatever. When I wrestled, weight at 165, walking around at 190, I could bing, lose your weight very quickly. So when you get to 29, suddenly you can't do that. Yeah, that's it. I don't know why they even let him. No, he's not going to make it. You are partially culpable. But suddenly Cerrone loses a fight. And you wouldn't be the first to guess that my phone lit up with talk of conspiracy. Don't think, look, this is, you got to keep up now. This is tri-level of the, this is, Ultimate Fighting Championship. This is Ultimate Tri-Level Chess Championship, because if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss something. Somebody raised a specter. I think he's a Manchurian candidate. I think he's set out. He's put out in the field to draw to Cal Scalak people, and you fucking follow that guy, you're gonna find yourself standing at the front of the line with a little red flag and nobody backing you except other guys who will be ex-employees. Do not fall for this guy. He's leading a fighters union. You know what? It's an individual contributor sport, and as an individual contributor sport, unionizing will never fucking work. It will not work. You know what works? Exactly what fucking Mystic Mac is doing. Like he says, I'd like to apologize to absolutely no one. You guys might hate to hear his voice. Unlike Donald Trump, I am fairly certain that he will leave MMA much better off than he found it. And by MMA, I mean specifically fighters. Hate all you want. It's tiresome hearing the guy's voice. It's tiresome seeing the guys walking around. I know. The worst part in my mind about Donald Trump becoming president is having to hear that guy for another 4 fucking years. Fortunately, he will stop the rallies. And just as I have that thought, Kellyanne Conway says he's not stopping the rallies. He likes the rallies as a way to communicate with the people. And if you don't know what the fuck that's about, you need to wake up. We are living in seriously genius times for people. People like, aren't you depressed, Eugene? Depressed. Oh no. Chappelle touched on it on the show, and then a few weeks earlier, SNL touched on it when they had Tom Hanks on. That's his name, right? Yeah, Tom Hanks. Yeah, had Tom Hanks on when he's like, no, don't use the thumb recognition on your phone. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. You know, we are. This is. The Trump guys at Sorrell's like laughing at me. I go, well, you laughing at? Don't you realize it's my time? How is it your time? There's chaos in the streets and the craziest of ideas on planet Eugene. Anything is possible. Anything. Because what do you mean? I go, look. Look. I said, if you haven't seen pictures of Trump and Pence together, take a look at Pence's face. Take a look at Pence's face. Shakespeare described it as a lean, hungry look, and he was describing fucking Brutus. He wasn't talking about Caesar. He goes, oh, they won't do anything to Donald. The people. You fucking fool. The people, the first thing they're aiming at is to kill a Dodd-Frank bill because they don't want to hurt the bankers. God forbid the bankers should get hurt anymore. We're going to clean the swamp. How are we going to clean the swamp? Get rid of all those Washington insiders. How? By putting them back inside. We're not even talking to 1%. Don't you understand that? We're talking to 0.01%. And like the Tom Hanks thing showed and the Dave Chappelle thing showed, that this is less about, racism and sexism. This is tri-level. And the reason why Chappelle said we're not surprised is because in his reality, nothing surprises him in terms of things going fucked up for people who don't have anything. And sadly, the people who voted for Trump, who might qualify as that from the white side of the aisle, or the 29% Latinos who voted for him, who are sitting around waiting for that wall to be built. Somebody's being lied to, but it may be you. There's no wall. There's no corporate tax. It is a grab-a-thon. It is a grab-a-thon. And if you're sitting out there with your Make America, you're going to be standing in the rain in your bathrobe with tears on your fucking face and the Make America Great. And I'm completely okay with that. Because history has shown us one thing, and that's that people like Eugene, you can't get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding? Tom Joad, Grapes of Wrath, whenever a big guy is somewhere pushing around a small guy, I'll be there. Eugene Robinson, Addendum 2016. I'll be there with the big guy pushing around the little guy. Screw the little guy. That's what I told you when I met Karl Rove. I said, I was shocked because I realized I'm one of those guys. That guy is this guy, right? Fundamentally an elitist. You listening to this show are also elitist. The people who are not elitist do not listen to this show. I said, oh, you crazy. What do you mean? Let's go. You come with me. We'll go to Target on a Sunday afternoon at noon. Just go to Target on a Sunday afternoon at noon and just look around to the left and to our right. And you tell me if you think that they are like us. I don't mean, and it's not a class thing. This has got nothing to do with cash. We go to Fifth Avenue, Tiffany's. I know dullards who are multimillionaires. But like my dude once said, you ever look at a cow and wonder whether it was a cow or not? No. You know right away. Yeah. And this is the animal sensitivity that they feel it. They feel it, but they don't know where it's coming from. The rusty pickup truck people in Kentucky and Alabama, they feel it. They think it's coming from those liberals, those libtards. Yeah, no. Let me see if I can tell this story. I cannot. But would it surprise you to hear that 4 or 5 of the wealthiest people on this planet get together routinely and play poker? $5 stakes. Now, $5 stakes poker for you and me might be a big deal, but the 5 richest people in the world, $5 stakes it's like it's less than that. They're just playing. And as they play, what do you think they're doing? What everybody who plays poker does is sitting there talking, playing, talking, playing, playing, talking. It's hard enough to, if you're in a relationship, you know, it's hard enough to care about one person, much less 300 million. Yeah, anywhere there's a little guy about to be fleeced by a big guy, I'm there. The house always fucking wins. So Donald, at this point now, he is hated by the left. He is hated by the establishment right. And he is loved by people who will have their hearts broken in 6 months' time through no actions of his own. The establishment is not going to give him the keys to set those fucking people free. Absolutely not. And if you think that the Access Hollywood video was the iceberg, the whole iceberg, and not just the tip of the iceberg, you are crazy. That guy, by hook or crook, is not serving out that 4 years. If he does, it means he's completely under the heel. My Trump guy was like, oh no, McConnell's a weasel. McConnell is a weasel, and Paul Ryan is a weasel, so he can control them by just going to the people with his thing. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Going to the people carries a lot of weight. Make no mistake that Conor McGregor stood there. He could have talked to his agent, said, float those guys an email. He could have said what he was going to do and said, hey, you know, I want to be with my wife, my girl, whatever she is, and with the kid, and I'm going to take some time off. He could have excused himself in a very private way. But he called them on their shit in a very public way in public. And at this point, you should have already drafted an email and you should have a meeting set up first thing Monday morning. It's no shame. No shame. Because I'm sure there's nothing in your contract that says he has to be repped by William Morris. Guys fire their agents all the time. You want your anus to feel uncomfortable? Let Conor McGregor go to creative artist. Creative artists, there are articles in the Hollywood Reporter. You should read it. You want to talk about proxy war? It's not just the UFC anymore, baby. We're talking about the whole shebang. We're talking about a single-handed cult creator of personality Q ratings vis-a-vis fighters. Like I said, if you can think of an American tough guy and motion pictures, how come America, they have to go overseas? We have to import our tough guys. Oh, Eugene, some guy quotes me, some guy go, that was Telly Savalas was back in the 60s. Robert Mitchum, Telly Savalas, Lee Marvin. These were guys who World War II actual vets, grew up crazy asses, decided they were going to become actors because they could meet some chicks and had no desire to be told by anybody what to do. It seemed like a way to make money. Clint Eastwood was a stagehand. Guys who are actors now, American actors, didn't want to do anything but. The toughest of that whole crew was still a pretty boy, Mickey Rourke, and he destroyed himself. And he's come back now, and there's a great success story. I love Mickey Rourke. But fundamentally, these guys felt like the old school guys, and it wasn't very manly, and especially this new crop of people, no. But you have real unreconstructed men who are, look, let's go. Tom Hardy, Eric Bana, Russell Crowe. Wake me when we get to an American. Let's go back 20, 30 years. Mel Gibson, Liam Neeson, Jason Statham, Idris Elba, Daniel Craig. Stop me when we get to an American tough guy actor. And here, in the purchase of the UFC, WME has a stable. All they got to do is get a guy who's got some scintilla of it, and they got that in Conor McGee. Admittedly, not an American. So this guy, much like the violation of the Treaty of Versailles, much like all these other things, is making killer move after fucking killer move, and I'm not seeing anything right. And the peril as exists for him is much less significant than it is. Look at what he was looking at when he showed up. And there's a certain cleverness about him that you have all completely missed, and that cleverness has everything to do with his fight matching. And if you think, oh, don't tell me shit about Khabib, because Khabib opened the door into his major weakness at this point, that let that fight be built that Conor McGregor is not worried about at all. He had no answer. He had no answer for the stand-up, no significant answer. He was smart enough to keep, I'm talking about Khabib, to keep that right hand raised high. But Michael Johnson was windmilling the fuck out of him, and it was just going to be a matter of time. If I'm now somewhere in a hotel room enjoying watching the rest of the fight, or was watching it back, again, Khabib's got nothing for me. He's got nothing for me. Could somebody tweet me and tell me why they were booing? I was I was watching the fights with Chad. You may not know who Chad is. Yeah, you're sending me a long text in the middle of the show. I really can't read it. But so Chad was talking through the whole fight, and so I asked the D-man. I said, "Hey, why were they booing? Why were they booing Khabib when he was talking?" And he said, the D-man said, and he could be wrong. I love his answer. He said, "Well, they booed Khabib." He said there's 20,000 Irishmen here, yet only 14 inches of penis in the crowd combined. I don't know if Khabib said that, but it's worthwhile to say he said it. Hey, easy, Irish guys. I had an ex who went through a period where she was dating a lot of Irish guys, had to stop. I said they were compensating in weird ways. I go, compensating for what? She just looked at me like, I'm not getting into penis jokes. Not quite yet. Not yet. That's coming up. So anyway, Khabib opened the so Conor McGee, it's like draft the email. There's no, that's the thing. How do Gentiles do business? Fuck it. Things go wrong. Fuck that. Fuck this. How do Jews do business? Fuck it. Let's make this work. Make it work, Ari. Make it work. You gotta make it work, because right now you have an accelerator, a personality accelerator, unlike. And I'm not saying you have to have much. And the old UFC ways are gonna ruin you. What do you mean, Eugene? Okay, I picked Wonderboy to win, and so did Kid Not Tay. Wonderboy didn't win. I couldn't hear the commentating because there was whiskey pouring and the guy standing shirtless in front of the screen doing color commentating, told him to move. He's a BJJ black belt. You move me. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. Hey, how can I? Shirtless Chad. What is you drinking Japanese whiskey? It's great. It's like whiskey with the Nico, I think it's called Rico. It's got a samurai, a steel samurai warrior on top of the whiskey bottle. You take it off and screw off the cap. It's actually quite nice whiskey. So I didn't hear what he said. So there's this confusion, there's this anger, the piece of paper. You all saw it with the Wonderboy. Did he win? Did he not win? And of course, the interesting thing is, Woodley, of course, ensconced in that Dave Chappelle reality, soon to be the average Trump voter reality of like, the house always wins, Jack. The house always wins. You're going to get fucked. You don't have shit in America. You're getting fucked 100 times out of 100. You think that Trump represents that one chance that some anti-establishment guy is going to get through and we're upending the tables and things again? Nah, son. Nah. I never looked at a cow and thought it was a cat. If you don't know who the mark is, you are the mark, baby. And you could see that shit all go through Woodley's head in about 2 fine seconds. Like, damn it. Give a brother an even chance. Yeah, win next time. I remember the uneven Woodley. That's why I picked against Woodley. But what I didn't hear, because of Chad being shirtless and drunk on Japanese whiskey in front of the big screen TV, was the disgusting Brian Stan-esque Joe Rogan commentary, which I had to go back in here. That was like a remora on the nuts of Wonderboy. That the phone was lighting up today with people going, I think it was a work. I think it was a work. I saw the fight based on what I saw, and it wasn't a work because I'm not talking about that. I could just read you because the way Joe Rogan was in the bag on the guy. In the Wonderboy is Brian Stan the week before did the same thing, was not calling anything. You can cast it any way you want. The other guy punches him in the fucking face. He goes, oh, he's such a resilient fighter. Motherfucker got knocked down. They were in the bag for Wonderboy. Why? Why? Because on that big stage, look, why do you think boxing has died? Man, people say boxing. Because you don't have any, I'm going to say it because I can. Because you don't have any credible white challenges anymore. I mean, we like sports because of what they tell us about ourselves. You think white dudes are fucking getting off on guys like Money Mayweather beating up white guys all the time? It's like, fuck that. You know? You might like to watch occasional interracial porn if you're a white guy, but how many times do you want to see big, giant penises that you don't own? The same reason I don't watch shows like MTV Cribs or Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, which is for you guys who are under 40 that have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Somehow it became my thing when I was at Adobe. I got set be the success story guy. I'm writing all these stories about rich people. It was a drag. It's a drag. I said, shut up. I said back in the early days when I was writing about this for GQ, I said, MMA will succeed because it's a combat sport in which white guys are competitive. And it's the most comprehensive combat sport. So it tells you stories about yourself but if you don't think Wonderboy is all-American, except he's Canadian, you know, he's a giant sage North Butt. What? North Butt. What? North Butt. What? It's North Cut. Sorry. It's an honest mistake. I could have called him North Butt. What? North Butt. Never mind. You know, but why they didn't cotton on to Chris Weidman as a why they never cotton on to Chris Weidman as All-American? I don't know. He was pretty freaking All-American. But there was something about Weidman, called to New York. Whoever thought that Donald Trump would win? I mean, as a New Yorker, you know, and they try to put him to bed early with his New York values. He goes like, what? The values at 9/11 when we were attacked. Ooh, that was good. No, under no circumstances. Not a single Southerner on the ticket. He matched the zeitgeist. Weidman didn't match the zeitgeist. Didn't match the Baldwin's idea of what constituted an All-American. And I don't know exactly what they've got in mind for Sage, but putting him against Mickey Gall, who said, I will kill him. Maybe they overpaid and it's just time to shuffle that guy off to Buffalo. Don't know. So anyway, Conor McGregor he will leave MMA better than he found it. Believe you me. Where should he go from now? Should he take that time off? Well, you know what fight you really want to see. And he's clever enough. He is like Congo back in the day, in a much more deft fashion, has picked fights that burnish the brand 100%. And when I say burnish the brand, I'm not talking about his brand as a fighter. That give him a stage on which he can fire the imaginations of the people at WME who can see him now as action hero, who can see him now as pitch man. What do you think he's wearing a fucking fur coat for? That guy is a walking money machine, and don't hate on him for it, because you don't even have to fight him to benefit from it. The boats will all rise. Because nobody wants to see boxing, MMA turn to boxing. Nobody. Nobody. Hate on him all you want, but Conor McGregor is doing more than any bullshit Cerrone, this talk of the MMA union, the lawsuit that the John Fitch has got to get. That shit's nickels. Nickels on the dollar. Nickels on the dollar. Not going to happen. Not significant. Watch McGregor's eyes. He can stand to lose one before he goes off on his way. And the only one that he can stand to lose would be, let him go bounce up to welter. I'm going to take welterweight. Is he going to get murked the first round? Probably not. And in that case, it's a win. He can say, I'm going to be with my kid. I'm going to focus on what I need to do. And then he's got the great comeback narrative. You know who gets fucked in this narrative? Jose Aldo, a dead man. You don't think he's a dead man? Who could he fight that you would give a shit about? Guy stole your oxygen, like 50 Cent said when he made fun of Ja Rule. You still want to eat? Because as far as I'm concerned, Ja Rule's not eating. When's the last time you thought about Ja Rule before I brought him up just now, if you like hip-hop? So, great for the sport. Great for the watch what he does. I'm not saying do the same. It's like he can't. You're going to find yourself sitting on Skid Row. But you can do some variations of it. You're in a different spot. If you're a fighter, listen to me now, believe me later. This is the right move. It's like Yossarian in Catch-22 imitating the soldier. I see everything twice, and all the nurses would come. Goes, I see everything 3 times. And the nurses would come. Yossarian's like, shit, I see everything 3 times. And then the guy died. He's like, I can see everything once. He did whatever that guy had, he didn't want to have. Wonderboy. Picked Wonderboy. Wonderboy lost to Woodley. Woodley's been inconsistent, but you know what Woodley doesn't have? He doesn't have it. You know what Wonderboy doesn't have? He doesn't have it either, actually. But the jury is still out on whether he has it. But you got clumsy handlers like Joe Rogan in the bag for him. That doesn't play well. You can't. You can't. You don't sell us, we buy. And there's a big difference. We're buying what fucking McGee is selling. He's not selling us. He's not trying to convince us to buy what he's selling. We're buying what he's selling. There's a big difference. What's the big difference? Car versus crack. If you're into crack, you will go out to find crack no matter where you are. You can move cities. I had a friend who was having trouble in Miami. Fuck that, I'm coming to San Francisco. Had trouble in San Francisco. He found the crack. People have to sell cars. Crack sells itself. No. What I'm saying, the fur coat still had the tags in it. His only misstep. But point is, he can afford it. It was a beautiful homage to Frazier in Madison Square Garden, 1974. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when I was at Code Magazine, the reality of it, Wonderboy is American. The Canadian connection is GSP and TriStar connection. Okay, good, thank you. So he is American. He's pretty close to all American. I got the Canadian thing. But the point is, not that you think these celebrities bought. When I was at Code Magazine, they said, if you wear stuff on TV, you get to keep it. free stuff. The more stuff you have, the more stuff they give you for free. And he's just putting out, here I am. I'm the brand ambassador. For what? For who? Your brand. He won't Mary Lou Retton-size himself. Mary Lou Retton again was doing Tampax commercials, battery commercials, but he doesn't need to do that. He can sell himself as a premium brand. Why not? He's a premium brand guy. Why not? Wonderboy, jury's still out. He can sharpen his sword against what he did wrong against Woodley and hope that will be enough. But he needs to know in the interim, Woodley is sharpening his sword against capturing the same anger that the Trump voters felt against what feels like the machinery's injustice. Yeah, if you tweet me, it's easier for me to read. The texting it diverts my attentions. So I don't know if we're connected on Twitter. Twitter, it comes right up on the screen. I can see. So, so Wonderboy is like working on moves, and Woodley will just be. They're trying. So now he's not just fighting Wonderboy. He's fighting 400 years of systematic maltreatment. That's a heavy fucking burden. And I'm sure in the interim there'll be some love that's flown Wonderboy's way. He's like, hey, I'm over here. And meantime, this burbling bat, he's got to understand that he's good for Conor McGee, and Conor McGee is good for him. That's the fight. Oh, the immediate rematch. Hey, buddy. Let me tell you. Smell that? Know what that is? You know what they're cooking? Your ass. That's your ass. That's your ass that they're cooking, because they're trying to hustle you the fuck out of there. Why? Because you're lost in the supermarket. You're holding the belt, just like DC. They don't know what to do with you. And DC's got this kind of affable, easy guy, jolly, kind of roly-poly, happy thing. Friend of Knuckle Up, Daniel Cormier, love the guy, like him, like his shtick. I can get guys like that all over the place. Why would I go to the UFC? Look at a specific personality type that is in short supply in America. Were American guys ruined by the 60s? I don't know. But there's a reason why we're not getting our tough guys. Chris Helmsworth? Is that the guy in Guardians of the Galaxy? These are fucking boys. You know they're boys. How do you know they're boys? Because they describe them in reviews as their boyish charm. You know who's a man? Brad Pitt, handsome guy, is a man. And the roles are starting to dry up. And the machinery is turned against him. He beats a child abuse charge. Oh, that's not the headline you want. So unknown what's going to happen with Wonderboy, but if Woodley's smart, you got to murder that guy. That is the fight to see next time, but for reasons that have everything to do with tri-level chess. Yeah, they put him in Straight Outta Compton. And Joanna picked Joanna. Oh, I love it. This Polish brother. That was a great fight. And what's deceiving about Karolina is like, who is that cat whose name? Daniel Day-Lewis. I finally figured out that the only acting that Daniel Day-Lewis does is when he accepts awards. Thank you. This is really wonderful. I'm glad you appreciate. That's the acting, because it's the delta between who he is in these roles and who he seems to be that makes people go, wow, that guy's a fucking tremendous actor. It's not that he's ramping it up. He's ramped up in reality. In reality, what he's doing when he comes, and this is where I fail. Because you want to go personal, small, public, big. You don't want to go public, big, personal, big. Then people get afraid. They're nervous. We don't know what he's going to say. I've heard that more times, and you're right. Hey, if I ever get a major league show, you should watch it just from the point of view, because it's my time. You reach down to a guy who's been stuck in a hole for 45, 50 fucking years, and you think he's going to be happy to see your hand helping him out of the hole? No. Nah. Get ready. So Joanna had a moment of inattention, And what's great is that Karolina, she's leaning against the cage, her hands behind her. Hi, how you hi? It's how I start my jiu-jitsu matches. Well, hey. And even when I was into my crazy time, I was hugging the ref and hugging the guy I'm going against. They go, fuck, maybe he's not from this country. Crazy guy. And then she goes, ba-ba bing. The only problem with the ba-ba bing is that outside it's easy, inside that you realize you got to deliver the kill stroke. That kill stroke is yours to deliver. Deliver it. Do not hang around. Do not mess around. Do not play around. Deliver it. You got one. Oh, you thought you were going to get another chance, 5th round? Not against the champion. No way. Nobody. Woods. You think you want to go back to Woods? Well, that's Karolina who's got to go back to Woods. The L's like W's. Sorry, that's how they do it. Great fight. And, of course, you didn't think I was going to get out of the show without talking about Mr. Woodpile. Man, my heart breaks for the guy. My heart breaks for the guy. If you don't think he's finished, you don't know nothing about this fight game. And I'm talking about Chris Weidman. Man, oh, man, this shit. And Romero played it great. Let him come out. And you can see he's a little nervous at first. Hey, buddy, build your confidence. I do this in training. Build your confidence. And then the buzzer goes off for the last 30 seconds. And then you go. Comes alive in the second. And it's like, oh, silver medalists. I guess a little bit different than All-American. It was inside leg trips. It was like pretty nice. And his big problem has been cardio, feeding all that muscle. Steroids or not. Realistically, the words came out of my mouth last night. I said, you want to punish guys for steroids? Seriously? Give them a 3-year suspension. Because that shit keeps working in your system up to a year after. Don't tell me nothing about it. I know I got folders for it. Binders full of information nobody ever wants to see. So Weidman, man, it's sad. And Romero's making noises. You know what? Oh yeah, dude, let's roll the tape back and look at Henderson. Romero can be gotten to. I love the goose stepping. Yeah, if those of you know, I think that's the Cuban army. That's how they march. It's like those, you know, a lot of Central South American soldiers. They strangely enough, dude, it's coincidence maybe. But he didn't go into the whole Jesus thing. I like it, and he was angry. And of course, Bisping, who I'm constitutionally must hate, is flipping him off, and he's like, all of a sudden he doesn't need the translator. I love his translator. Hey man, who was that? It's Tony Montana. Who the fuck is his translator? That was great. Hey, I would just say what you said, but with an accent, man. I gotta speak English. All right. So Miesha, I love that. I loved it. I love Tate. I love Tate. Just as you're about to say, welcome to the Phantom Toll Booth at a Lost Bird. She just whip. Can't lose a game you don't play. I'm taking my panties and going, my bikini and going, oh. The best part was watching Caraway corner her. You see, he's like, go for your left. Go for your left. Fuck her over like you fucked me over. You know, in between rounds, she goes, I told you, stop that. Why can't we just talk about it? Can't we just talk about it? Oh, you're busy now. You're busy now, and we can't. You're always busy. You never love me. You never. And then back to the corner, he's shouting, hit her, knee. Like you gave me the knee, you dirty bitch, you. That's what I imagine Caraway was saying. Somehow I'm imagining she's the one who dumped him. But you could tell she was done. And she realized that she was done in a healthier, sooner way than a lot of male fighters. You know what? Knowing when to hold it, knowing when to fold it, get the fuck out. Get out. Frankie, great. Frankie. Khabib opened doors that we shouldn't have seen, didn't help himself. I don't know, Javier at AKA, get that boxing coach, get that guy working on his stand-up. Seriously, I'm not fucking around. What's gonna happen to that guy when he loses to Conor McGregor? And yeah, you could pull Conor McGregor down to the ground, but you also realize that Conor McGregor realized it was a weakness and is working on that vis-a-vis what happened with him in Nate. Tim Boach, yeah, called it. Rafael Natal, he's friend of Knuckle Up, Harley Flanagan, but man, I've never seen the guy win. Alves broke my heart, and Kachagugian, to Shai, she got robbed. Alves didn't get robbed. He lost that fight to Jim Miller, but Kachagugian really, in my mind, beat Carmouche. But I'm not going to fight about it. It was a great night of fights, 205. A great night of fights. But, if you don't realize that these tendrils are twisted, Frank and Lorenzo are gone. The bald one has effectively been, you realize you have a certain lock-in period. And if you do what you got to do, you hit your marks, you could be walking away with $400 million. You're letting it ride. Good move to make. Smart money, be smart money. Watch him too. He's not about, he doesn't have to do the shit he did before. But the old ways somehow stink up the joint. And I remember hearing somebody said to me, hey, didn't Joe Rogan say if they sold the UFC, he was going to quit? So I remember there was some sort of threatening quit clause if it changed too much or they were going to, that he was not. But here, you know what? Joe said that, I'm quite sure, before he had any inkling of who was doing what with whom. Specifically, who reps Joe? Is his agent creative artist? Is his agent William Morris? No. Joe is an entertainer. He's a stand-up comedian who probably doesn't want to be working those clubs for the rest of his fucking life, even though he likes it as a seasoning. Nah, Joe's not quitting shit. Nah, Joe wants to do movies. Joe wants to do TV, other TV shows, commercials. He loves the fight game. No need to make these changes. No, the most secure. Will you think they're gonna get rid of Goldberg? No, not yet. Not yet. The moves that they're making are giant. And the anti-Semites in my comment section, Adamic, don't give me that fucking shit about Ari Emanuel being the world plundering Jew. And what? I do not fucking care. I do not care about the fucking, the Jew-ridden, driven conspiracy theories, because it always ends with the same thing. And they're taking over the world. And wise the fuck up. It's a dead end. It's a dead end. If Hitler couldn't make it work, you and your mother's basement are not going to make it work. You need a different angle of attack. Nobody's listening to you. And calling me racially pejorative names is not helping. You could hang out. You could have hung out with Farrakhan before you got there. He agrees with you. I'm not even dealing with that. I'm dealing with the advancing, the rising and advancing of a sport I love. It's called mixed martial arts, and changes are afoot. And as far as I'm concerned, now it's serious. I know many of you have been paying attention since the 90s, since it started. UFC 1, I was there. But now, in 2016, it's serious. How serious? $4.2 billion worth of serious. The old ways dictated that McGee had to go public with what he went public with. Fine. The new ways should dictate that never happens again. And if you're a fighter right now, don't get Cal Scalak. Make deals. And don't get lost up. None of those guys should have been declaring any allegiance to fucking Trump. None of them. Cerrone is dead. Tim Kennedy is dead. These guys are fucking dead. The bald one had to do it. He had to do it. He owed a favor. The favor was called. That was a manly thing to do. It was an upright, stand-up guy thing to do. You did it. Win or lose, got to back the guy who backed you. It's like I remember once on the punk rock scene, my friend Pete Guy, whose father used to sing for the Coasters, sang that famous 50 song, Charlie Brown. He was grousing, one of the few black punk rockers from Flatbush. He was grousing. I said, what's wrong? Man, these fucking people are racist. I go, what? These are the sons and daughters of fucking construction workers from Bay Ridge. How the fuck would you expect anything different? And I remember when the Afro punks called me, the documentary, the 5 of us in the hardcore punk scene back in the 80s, and they said, oh, we forgot about you, Eugene, but we'll get you before the book comes out. And they came out and said, well, weren't you alienated? And did you feel alone? And were you ostracized? And were people like not so receptive because you were black? I was like, hey, what the fuck are you guys talking about? What are you talking about? Yes, I have 4 sisters, but I'm 10 years older than like my oldest sister. I grew up largely alone, and I moved 9 times. My parents were divorced when I was 5. I am okay with solitude, and couldn't have been more alienated in total. I was going to discos alone, hanging out with the people at the Interview magazine, fighting off the advances of sexual predators alone. I show up in some punk rock scene, some kid with funny hair is going to scare me. I was fucking working out with mafia guys out in Ridgewood. When I was not afraid of you guys. This is why there are no more American tough guys. This sensitivity. I'm sensitive too. But I'll punch you in the mouth in a fucking second. And that's the spirit that people vibed on when they vibed on it. You know. And how do you think it's going to be when Biden meets Donald at the fucking White House? Yeah, I think about back. Oh, I'd do that in a second. It's a fight. It's behind the bushes at the 7-Eleven, except it's the White House, and we're there. Because there comes a time when you got to say enough, and this country was predicated on people at a certain point saying enough. I fucking despise the small-mindedness of the fictional Trump. He sold himself as a fucking sex predator, as an unreconstructed racist. Could somebody really be that stupid? Try level. Somebody said to me, Eugene, I used in my article called the Trump card. If you go to Aussie.com and just type in the search bar, the Trump card, I had a piece. And I quoted a section from Catch-22 where this guy was saying, hey, an old guy in a whorehouse in Catch-22, and he said, hey, you know, when the Germans were here, I was pro-Hitler. The Germans are gone, I'm pro-American. When Mussolini was in, I was pro-Mussolini. When Mussolini was gone, I was the most loyal partisan. He goes, you know, you're a cynical opportunist. Don't you have any morality? He goes, I am the most moral man in Italy. And if you get out of the way and Italy actually succeeds in losing again, you will find that I'll be happy. Surviving. Don't look at a cow and confuse it for anything else. Follow the smart money. You know, and the shock troops, the people out in the streets protesting, the people counter-protesting, you got to understand that you all are all being played. That's what Chappelle was saying on the Saturday Night Live. He was like, are you kidding? You know, lefty white folks, you shocked? Leonard Cohen, hats off to him. Rest in peace. Everybody knows. Everybody knows the dice are loaded. Everybody. But the ones who benefit from the dice being loaded are the ones who loaded them in the first place. Be those people. Well, what about morality? Fuck that. Read what I said about it on Aussie. It's a complex worldview. Sorry. I know you want to holler and scream at stuff, but we're beyond holler and screaming. It's serious. And if it wasn't, Conor McGregor wouldn't have been in there calling out Ari Emanuel. Because there were a million ways he could have contacted that guy. He chose to do it in the cage. In front of all the 20,000 people at Madison Square Garden, in front of a huge record-breaking audience. Shine a light. Shine a light on me. Anyway, this is round number 289. I am your host, Eugene Sabi Robinson. Thank you for listening this far. I hope I shine the light on what was some pretty good heroin Saturday night. What was some really good? Did I hold on? Did I fail to mention Street Overlord? Did I not go into penis? Oh, Madonna. Sorry. So the wave, part of the wave of the future here, part of the wave of the future is Madonna's continued Madonna sightings. Bruce Willis is boyish. Now I'm looking at some of the tweets. I was looking other places when you came. Bruce Willis, nobody thinks about, yes, he was an action figure, you know, yippee-yay-ki-yay, boyo. You know how I know he's not a tough guy? Because do you ever see him interacting in character with a guy where you feel like, oh shit, Bruce is about to throw down. Bruce is about to throw down. Even in Pulp Fiction, when he played a boxer, do you think he played a convincing boxer? Oh, really? Compare him to Tom Hardy in Warrior. Tell me who gave it better. If you're going to pin your hopes on Bruce Willis as a manly American actor, you're fucking wrong. Yes, I might have got honey dick by role, but what I saw and what you didn't see is that he's a fucking bright guy. He's not confusing cows with cats. I got somebody sent me a picture from the Manchurian Candidate. You should put a cowboy hat on that. Donald Cerrone. So Madonna is in the audience. And more than one person has told me that she asked for Conor McGregor's dick. Now, I'm not ageist, and I'm not going to slut shame. My bone that I'd like to pick with Madonna has to do with the compulsive nature of her continued involvement in our lives. Why don't you just leave us the fuck alone? You're like a Miesha Tate with real power. I had to defriend Miesha Tate so she stopped sending me bikini photos. People say, oh, she's not sending them to you. She sent them to everybody. Well, like, that's better. I don't need to be exposed. I don't need you as a Facebook friend, Instagram, Twitter. I don't need to see the bikini shot. I don't need to think about you that way you're a fighter or were. But Madonna, man, she's sitting with some friends and the camera gets out her and she's like, the camera! She's like, I expected her to tear open her shirt and written across her titties, just bleed. Jesus Christ, Madonna. I want to help. I want to help somehow. Like the dude who screwed Courtney Love in The Hulk, and he's sitting there with Hickson in Brazil, and he can learn how to keep his blood pressure down. I want to help Madonna. It's okay to not have everybody looking at you, talking about you. That big empty space inside your soul. I want you to get a book by a guy named Robert Musil. It's called The Man Without Qualities. I should you read it. It's like about 1,000 pages. This compulsion to have us look at your ass forever. Do you realize there's a strong possibility that she could outlive me? My whole life will be lived under the dark star of Madonna's continued need to have us pay attention to her. Stop it. There's nothing wrong with quiet sophistication. Why, fuck that, man. I'm at the fights. I'm having a good time. Do you ever know? Ever take a bunch of drugs around people who haven't taken a bunch of drugs? I mean, I have friends who've done this. And that friend was feeling pretty good. He was feeling pretty good. And he said, Eugene, he said, the other guy's name was also Eugene. So Eugene, are you okay? And that other guy named Eugene, who wasn't me, in actual fact, he said, I feel great. And everybody else is, uh-oh. And, the other guys weren't so quick. And one guy who was actually much quicker than the rest said, have you noticed how animated that other guy who's not me named Eugene is? How he seems to be talking quite a lot and in a situation that doesn't really require responses from the rest of us. Have you noticed that? That's what I see when I see Madonna. Ease up. Look at the people you're sitting with. They're not playing the fool. You don't have to dance for our coins. You're not a chimp. Madonna, you're not a chimp. I guess the Kabbalah didn't help out. We do it at If I Did It. We can help. We can help. Contact me. Anyway, that's the end of the show. And you know what? The sad thing is, Conor McGregor's penis has no interest in you. That's the fucked up thing. That's the thing where my heart starts to bleed for you. You know, like when that dude of mine told me, man, I can't get Martha Stewart off my dick. She's actually texting me and sending me stuff she wants. I go, you didn't fuck Martha Stewart? He goes, like, no, I don't know. He goes, would you? I said, fucking the New York second, I would have. He goes, man, she's older. Man, that's the bed and whatever, Jack. But then I thought, how sad that Martha Stewart not only is chasing subpar penis, but getting rejected by subpar penis. That shit's rough. Madonna's calling out Conor McGregor's penis, and Conor McGregor's penis has no interest. Go for quiet sophistication. Pull a Greta Garbo. Please, please, stop it. Me feeling sorry for you is a bad look. Over because Conor McGregor's penis. Anyway, it's the end of the show. It's 289. I'm your host, Eugene S. Robinson. Find out where to nominate me for MMA Commentator of the Year, MMA Journalist of the Year, at Eugene S. Robinson for Twitter, or below the show is a space to click thumbs up my way, or, you know, just thumbs up this way. And we'll see you later on in the week with If I Did It. And if there's a fight next weekend, which I'm not sure there is, we'll do, a Care Don't Care preview. Anyway, we'll see you soon. And that's the end of the show. Look what you made me do! Hey, man.